You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marchegiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Evan Brand, what's going on today, man?
Hey, not much. It's a sunny day. We're headed into fall. The leaves are turning colors. It's beautiful. I hiked all weekend and you skied all weekend. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling really, really sore. I was water skiing this weekend with my wife and some friends, and I am just so sore. I had a water skiing run that would probably lasted 5 minutes because we were going under the Austin 360 bridge, and I'm like, oh, I gotta make it. So I was like a couple miles away from it, and I just really plowed through it, and I'm just super sore. So anytime my legs elongate, like the quad muscles start to, I walk downstairs, my knees want to buckle on me, so I gotta like really hold the railings as I walk downstairs now.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, but other than that, it was great, and it sounds like you had a good weekend too.
Yeah, I sure did.
Excellent. Well, we talked pre-show that we wanted to talk about vegan and vegetarian diets and kind of compare it to a paleo template, if you will.
Yep.
Let's dig in.
Sure. So many clients have walked into both of our doors with a previous history or current history of a vegetarian or vegan diet, and they feel okay for a little while. It's like, I feel good. I started to get some energy. Maybe they lost a little bit of weight. And then there's this turning point where it's like, oh my God, my hair's falling out. I can't sleep anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm wired and tired. Now I'm gaining belly fat. What is going on?
Exactly. So there's two arguments when it comes to this. There's the emotional argument, which is the argument that most vegetarians typically make. And then there's the scientific evolutionary argument, which is sometimes they try making that argument too, but it doesn't quite connect with the facts. So let's break it down one by one. So the first argument is the emotional appeal. And you got to know it's emotion because, you got the little animal, it's furry, it's got family, it's got kids, and, we don't want to eat that because it's death, right? That first assumption assumes that plants are inanimate objects and have no life force at all. So anytime I'm dealing with someone that's coming at it from like a life, you're ending a life, right? You're ending that animal's life and it's got a face and it's got cute little cuddly kids. It's a tough argument to make because it's a strong emotional appeal. I always come at it from another perspective that it takes life to sustain life. Anytime you are living, your body has to take life force, whether it's in the form of nutrients from vegetation, plants, fruit, starch, right? Those things have to be alive at some level. And we know there's some life force coming off because we have things like Kirlian photography that you can actually see, energy coming off of it. And we know that if you leave kale on your fridge or your counter too long, it rots. It stinks. Like vegetables, when they die, they make some serious smell. Same thing with meat. So there's obviously some kind of life force there because we know things like McDonald's French fries and Big Macs, they literally stay for like years on end. There's some guy on the internet that's got a 5 or 10-year-old French fries and burger from McDonald's, and it doesn't go. So we know there is there's different life force to plants, right, than like junk food. So we know it does rot. So there's obviously some life to it. And we know that's the same case with meat. If we leave meat out there, meat does rot as well. So the question is, well, you are taking life anytime you eat something, whether or not you connect with the sentience, right? The ability for that thing to be sentient, to have sensation. It's just hard for us to connect with plants being sentient. It's very easy to connect with animals being sentient. So my appeal to any patient that makes that argument to me or brings that point, it takes life to sustain life. Your spinach and your kale is just as alive as your animals that you're eating. They rot and they stink just like the meat that rots and stinks. And I think it was a scientist by the name of, I think it was Clyde Baxter. He wrote the book, The Strange World of Plants, and he would approach plants with scissors, and you have the plants hooked up to electrodes, and you're making that scissor noise as you're closing the scissor, open and close, like you'd see maybe in like a horror movie or something. And as they're approaching the plant, and the plant, you see these electrodes coming on the device that's monitoring the plant. So it's like the plant is picking up some degree of fear or some degree of emotion when those electrodes were hooked up. So it's fascinating. Now, we're never going to be able to connect it, a plant being maybe as sentient as an animal, but there is some level of sentience. So my appeal to anyone that has that kind of philosophy is that your plants have life too. And you got to eat healthy plants. If not, you're not going to have a healthy life.
It's very true.
You want to add to that, Evan?
Well, no, that was great, man. It's funny that we're still having this debate because people, they get conditioned to feel certain ways. Like there's so much emotional attachment. Now, I'm totally down with the idea that factory farming and things like that are awful and they create antibiotic resistant bacteria that have now gone airborne and things like that. So I'm totally on board with the idea of getting rid of the unsustainable, disgusting, sick animal models. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about sustainably raised animals that lived a happy life up until the moment that they were, their life was ended to sustain us. So it's definitely something that you have to get a little bit more specific about and get a little bit more researched about, because there are sources of healthy, happy animal meat out there.
Exactly. So I had someone came up to me over the weekend and we were chatting about diets, and they're like, "Oh, I'm vegan. Like, you got to be vegan to be healthy." And I just said, "Oh man, I eat lots of good, healthy animals that have eaten lots of good vegetables. So I feel like you can get a lot of good health from meat as well." And he's like, "Oh, how could you eat that rotten flesh?" I go, "No, man, I don't eat rotten flesh." I said, "Why would I ever want to eat something rotten? I get my meat pretty fresh and I freeze it and I cook it up." I'm like, "I don't eat rotten vegetables. Do you eat rotten vegetables?" And he goes, "No." And I said, "Well, really all meat is, it's just gets broken down into essential fatty acids and amino acids, right? And maybe some fat-soluble nutrients. So the question is, what about those fat-soluble nutrients and amino acids and fatty acids are bad?" And the person couldn't answer the question because you want to make the emotional appeal, right? You get this image of rotten flesh. It's kind of like, it's like, ooh, it doesn't feel good. But then you distill out that right brain image and you go to the left brain. Well, what's actually in that? Like, once stomach acid and enzymes hit that, what does that really become? We're not talking about rotten flesh. We're just talking about animal flesh that's ideally cooked, so it's pre-broken down. And we're talking about higher quality stuff. It becomes essential fatty acids, amino acids, and fat-soluble nutrients. That's what it becomes. So then the question is, what about those nutrients are different in plants? That's then what the scientific question becomes.
Well, and what is not in those plants and vegetables?
Yes, exactly. So this person then said, "Yeah, but do you know where all those essential fatty acids and amino acids and fat-soluble nutrients came from?" And I said, "Well, they came from the plants that animal ate." They're like, "Yes, that's why you should eat that." And I said, I agree. I said, over half of my plate is typically vegetables. But here's the one piece you're missing, is that animal concentrates that plant matter. So it takes 6 to 8 pounds of vegetation to make that 1 pound of meat. So as I agree with you, but what you're getting is you're getting nutrient density. So that's why I think when I say a paleo diet, I don't like paleo diet. I like paleo template, because I have patients that are 90% vegan vegetarian, but are still so-called paleo. And we'll go into why or how that is. So I told this person, I said, well, the benefit is nutrient density. I'm getting 8 to 9 times more of that nutrients from the plant than you are, because I'm getting it from a creature that's bio accumulated it for me, and then now I'm cooking them, and I'm making sure that they were raised humanely and are ideally organic and no GMO feed in a natural environment like grass. Now I can really get a higher level of nutrient density than you can by just eating plants alone.
That's true. Yeah. And some of the B vitamins, I mean, B12 is kind of a common topic where they'll try to out supplement or replace that. And that's a tough one that you're really not going to succeed with for a long time.
No, you're not going to be able to get B12. You'll be able to get various B12 analogs, but again, I've seen many vegetarians and vegans, and even the good ones know that you still have to supplement B12. So that at some level, if you're having to supplement B12, you have to concede at some point that your diet is somewhat nutrient deficient, because if not, you wouldn't be deficient. You wouldn't need the extra B12.
I'll still take some B12 occasionally, like if I'm trying to do a lot of intense exercise, or if I just feel kind of low, I just have some fun little sublingual methyl B12 that I'll just pop here and there. But, generally I feel pretty good without it.
Yeah, I think it's great to use various vitamins and nutrients to upregulate physiology and function, but we're talking about more pathology with vegetarians. They can come down with something known as posterior lateral sclerosis or subacute combined system disease, where they literally can have this demyelination. Their nervous system starts breaking down because they don't have B12, and they can also become very anemic to the point where their ability to carry or create healthy red blood cells becomes decreased. So we're talking more, they're not taking these things in is going to actually cause potential pathology or various conditions, where we're like supplementing just because we want to be more optimum.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And some
scary.
people with gut issues, even if you're having the best diet, they may have malabsorption. So even though they're eating good things, they may not even get into their body.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what you were just mentioning before that we needed to come back to, like the people that are mostly a vegetarian diet, really, but it can still be considered somewhat of a paleo diet.
Yeah.
And how they can be healthy with that.
Yeah, let's transition over to that. The first thing I want to hit, though, is a lot of people that go vegetarian or vegan feel better. Why do they feel better at first? So let's go through our list of why that actually happens. So number one, people that are vegan or vegetarian, they tend to not consume alcohol, or at least at smaller amounts. That's number one. Number two, they aren't eating the junky meat, right? A lot of people eating hot dogs or McDonald's, processed meat. Not that a hot dog's bad. It can be good if it's grass-fed and organic. But if you're eating lower quality meat, you're not getting now all the hormones, antibiotics, and potential GMOs from that. You're also having less sugar. You're typically eating more green vegetables. You're typically exercising more, and you're not eating all of the trans fat, all of the bad, nasty, refined trans fat. So just off the bat, less alcohol, and also typically more exercise, right? So we have more exercise, less alcohol, less sugar, more vegetables, and then less chemicals and antibiotics and hormones from the bad meat. By just taking those things out, you're going to have a significant benefit. And vegetables are really good for you. So if you eat more of those, you can significantly improve the quality of your life off the bat, especially if you're coming from a bad diet to begin with. The difference is, though, most vegan vegetarians now come to the result that their improvement had to do with them pulling meat out of their diet versus the other confounding variables that happened the exact same time while they pulled meat out of their diet, the ones I already listed.
That's a great point. Yeah, MSG popped in my head too. Getting that out of your
aspartame,
diet,
MSG, all these excitotoxins, right? And typically people that go vegan, vegetarian typically do what? They eat organic, right? They cut out the GMOs too.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, especially the vegans. The vegans tend to be more on point with that. But again, I see a lot of bad vegans and vegetarians out there where their diet just becomes grains and beans and just a whole bunch of other refined grains that are very high in sugar too. But when people come to me and they're like, I just felt so great going this vegan vegetarian way, well, those are typically the big variables that make a huge difference. And there's one more. If you have a compromised gut issue, you're actually cutting down a lot of times the fat and protein in your diet. And if you're not eating all this fat and protein, you may be able to break things down better, not have this indigestion of a meat brick sitting in your stomach because you can't make the enzymes and HCl to break it down. So a lot of times people do better because there's less fat, there's less protein, their gallbladder, their enzyme and hydrochloric acid levels aren't being tested as much. And without that test, they're not having that indigestion that may have been created by the meat. Now, it's not the meat that caused the problem. The meat was just revealing a weak link in the digestive physiology.
Yep. It's not actually fixing the digestive problem. Just taking the load off that digestive system that's still messed up and needs to be fixed.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, if it hurts to walk around all day with your ankle hurts, well, I'm just going to go and use a wheelchair to fix the issue. Well, that doesn't fix the issue. It's just, preventing you from noticing the problem because you're not standing or walking on that ankle. So it's just causing you to shift your focus a little bit. It's really the duct tape over the check engine light. Oh, I can't see it. That's it, right?
Yep.
Do you want to break that down at all anymore?
No, that's great.
Good. So let's kind of recap. I'll recap a couple of times. So number one, when you're having this conversation with your friend or family member, acknowledge that the fact that they probably made a really good change, especially if they're feeling better, right? Acknowledge they've probably done a lot of good things. Now, the question is, how can we prevent them from throwing the baby out with the bathwater, right? They're going to come to the conclusion that it was the meat that did it all and not all of the other things that were naturally excluded. Right. Number two, when you're having the conversations, I always say, never show up to a gunfight with a knife. Right. So you got to be armed with facts. So notice in the conversation when there's an emotional appeal and try to always take away the emotional appeal to the left brain, go into the more logic side. And it's a real valid approach that, hey, there's emotion, there's life, right? I always come at it from the form that it takes life to sustain life and that you always have to eat things that are alive. And my premise to you is that your plants are just as alive, whether or not you can detect it or not, your plants are just as alive. That's kind of my premise on the life side. And then the next part is, well, what are our options? Because vegetarians and vegans tend to not think there are any options. They understand the difference between GMO vegetables and non-GMO. They understand the difference between pesticides and organic, but for some reason, there isn't a distinction between grass-fed organic meat and meat with antibiotics and pesticides and chemicals. Like meat's all like in one category, but we know that there's different categories of vegetables, right? We know that, but we can't have that conversation tie into the meat. And my thing with the meat is, yes, we can do the non-CAFO, the non-caged animal stuff. We can have them killed humanely. We can even do locally farmed. We can do organic. We can do grass-fed. We can do all of these good things. But a lot of vegans and vegetarians don't like to distinguish the meat quality. And that's a problem with me, because if you can distinguish the quality on the vegetable side, then we have to run that principle universally through on the meat side.
That's very true. Yeah, and a lot of the studies that people will use against meat, those are going to be your conventional crappy quality meat. So when they'll have articles that come out like red meat causes cancer or all these other diseases, that's not taking into account the quality of the meat. So if you've been confused where maybe you've been eating paleo and then you start questioning yourself, trust us, you're in the right frame of mind. You just have to pay attention to what quality is actually being used in some of these research journals.
Exactly. And then we also just have some things that evolutionarily don't make sense. I'll just give you for example. Let's say you evolved anywhere where there was permafrost, right? That means the ground was frozen. You could not survive on vegetables all year long. I mean, we could even go thousands of years ago, right? You had to eat an animal or kill an animal. If not, you wouldn't survive because we didn't have the refrigeration. We didn't have the methods to preserve things like we did. So you had to have, the only thing you had access to once that frost came and once your food ran out was animals. That was it. That was the only way you could survive. Now in the tropics, it's different because, well, you had fish all year round and you had vegetation all year round, but anywhere there was a winter, and the higher up the equator you went, the longer the winter, you had to have an animal to survive.
It wouldn't be possible. I mean, even here in Kentucky and starting as early as December, January, February, there is nothing growing. So you have animals, and that's pretty much it. So, I mean, typically a lot of people joke about gaining weight and being the biggest during the holiday season. Typically, if you're kind of following the seasonal food availability, you would be the leanest in the winter just because you're going to be eating pretty much straight fat and protein.
Yeah, it's typically higher carb in the summer because more of the starch and the fruit's available, and lower carb during the winter because you're primarily on fat and protein.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And once I bring that up, because, I'm pretty armed in this because, I thought vegan and vegetarian was the right way to go 10, 15 years ago when I started out in this game. But then the more I studied and I tried it, it didn't work for me because, one, I couldn't stabilize my blood sugar because you just can't get enough high quality fat and protein from eating vegetarian. I mean, you can get your fats primarily from avocado, coconut, and nuts. But then when you're talking about proteins, outside of like pea protein or rice protein powders, you have to get a whole bunch of carbohydrate with your protein, rice and beans, 15 grams of protein per 60 to 80 grams of carbohydrate. You get a lot of carbs with your food. Even hummus, I mean, it's still going to be a good amount of protein in there, but you're still going to get a fair amount of carbs as well. And then you got to combine it, right? Because a lot of these vegetarian protein sources are lower in sulfur amino acids, which we need more to run our glutathione and detoxification pathways. And we also need methionine and lysine to complete the essential eight amino acids we need. So we tend to be missing a lot of these aminos in the plant-based products, but we have them in the animal-based products.
Yeah, it's like having 3 cylinders going on your car when you have a 6-cylinder car. It's like you can fill all those other ones in and have much better performance.
Exactly. So the big benefits that we get from eating paleo or a paleo template. I had a patient just last week who was vegetarian vegan for a long time. We have her eating 90% vegan vegetarian. We just cut out all the grains. We have her emphasizing good nuts and fats from coconut, avocado, olive oil, etc. We have her getting in a fish oil, and we have her doing egg yolks and a little bit of fish to start. And her plate's like 90% vegetables without all the extra carbohydrate that you get in a vegan vegetarian diet. And she's doing better. We added in some enzymes and HCl, and she's able to start handling some of those denser protein and fat sources better too. So we can always work around that. Now, the one thing we get though when we start adding in the meat is we start getting better blood sugar stability, right? Because these things are like metabolic logs on the fire, and they can keep our blood sugar from going up and down throughout the day. So there's a reason why you go look at cows, they have to eat all day long. They have to eat all day long because there's just not that blood sugar stability. There's not the nutrient density because you're not getting all this fat and protein from the grass, right? So they have to eat all day long. They also have 5 different stomach chambers where they ruminate a lot of these foods, and they can ferment them and create fat-soluble nutrients and vitamins from fermenting that vegetation. So they can do that. We can't. We don't have 5 stomachs. We don't have that ability, and they just eat all day long. So now looking at a lot of vegan vegetarians, well, unless you're grazing all day long, you're going to have massive blood sugar issues. So we got to be eating every 4 to 5 hours. That's going to help us to have less insulin. It's going to help us to stabilize blood sugar, and that fat and protein will allow us to go that 4 to 5 hours between meals.
Yeah, you don't have to carry around a Ziploc baggie of carrots and cucumbers. I've seen that a few times.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and also one more other argument that gets thrown out there a lot is, well, look at our teeth. We don't have teeth like a lion or a tiger or a bear, right? It's like, well, let's do the math here a little bit. So 1, we have incisors right here. These are for nipping and gnawing. We have 1 tooth on each side, 4 total, called, actually I think it's just, 4 total, called canines. Interesting. Canine. Let's think about that here, right? So we have these canine teeth that allow us to really shred and pull apart meat. Now, not only that, we also evolved with a bigger brain, and we created things called forks and knives and tools. Therefore, our body didn't have to adapt to more fangs because we could just cut our pieces of meat up smaller, right? We didn't have to have all teeth to do it. We had external tools that took pressure off our body evolving genetically.
That's cool.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense.
It does.
But so those are the big attacks. So I would say 1, with meat, you get better nutrient density. Number 2, you're going to get better blood sugar stability with the fats and proteins. Again, number 3, you can still eat in alignment with nature, not having all the chemicals and the junk and the monoculture, by eating local and having foods that are gluten-free, organic and GMO-free and all that good stuff. And then number 4, you can still cut out all the junk that benefited the vegetarian vegan when they first went vegan vegetarian that would benefit you. You can still cut out all the vegetable oils and the trans fats and the sugar and the junk alcohol, and you can still move better and eat organic. You can still get all those benefits while having meat. They aren't mutually exclusive adaptations.
That's true. Yeah, and you're going to get good cholesterol that's going to help fuel your hormones when you're eating eggs and good meats.
Yes, and I can't tell you, as being a hormone specialist, especially looking at thyroid and female hormones, so many of my vegan and vegetarian patients that come in with massive hormonal issues. And it makes sense because the building blocks that make your hormones come from cholesterol and come from fat and come from protein. And my sickest patients, again, I know I have my bias, but I've only had my bias because I have evolved to see what makes me feel the best, and also looking at it from an evolutionary and scientific perspective, is that protein fuels our neurochemicals. They all come from protein. Our hormones all come from cholesterol, and typically protein, fat, and cholesterol are all connected in Mother Nature because they don't got protein powders out in Mother Nature. So we need these building blocks to make our hormones and our neurochemicals too.
Yeah, and it's the same for me. It's the sickest ones were the ones with either a low fat or a low meat vegetarian type diet. Those are the ones where their adrenals are just exhausted. Other hormones are off. They've gained weight now. They're slow. They're cold all the time. They're hiding under blankets because they can't stay warm, et cetera, et cetera. I'm sure we could do a whole show on that.
Yeah. So my call to anyone that's listening to this that is vegan or vegetarian is to, if you want to transition over to paleo, just try to take all the good meats or take all the good vegetables that are like your green-based vegetables. That's going to be your foundation. All right. Try to choose more lower sugar fruits, not as high or not like tropical sugar fruits, because we don't want to throw your blood sugar off. Try to have good nuts and seeds and good fats from coconut oil and flax and olive. And then try to add in maybe a little bit of egg yolk or a little bit of salmon, just something like that to get some extra fats and proteins that you may not be used to as a starting point. And then try to obviously make sure the food quality piece is there as well. And anyone that's vegetarian and vegan that has gone paleo and they're like, crap, I don't feel good, my digestion is off, it's not the meat, it's the meat revealing something is weak in your digestive physiological chain. Do you want to add to that, Evan?
No, that's great, man.
All right, cool. I think we hit everything down. Do you want to kind of summarize everything back to people?
Yes, I mean, pick a starting place, get the good fats in. If you're still transitioning and you're worried that your stomach's going to get messed up, then I would look at some digestive supplements. We've covered that a lot on our podcast, so check out the digestive episodes to get some secrets that are going to help you to digest things better as you start adding in these animal proteins back in. Definitely adding in the coconut oils, the butters, the fun, easy things like that. And then you can transition over to one day you'll be eating some good bison meat, hopefully, and feeling a lot better.
That's great. Awesome, Evan. I know you got a patient you got to run to. I do as well. It was great chatting, and I hope everyone that's, listening, they're trying to make that transition. If you need more help because you may have nutrient issues or digestive issues, feel free and reach out to Evan or I.
Take care.
Thanks a lot, Evan. Bye.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com.